Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow, Extreme Health Club, and Lockshield Partners Accounting Services.
Hello, I'm James Brown. Welcome to Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can also catch this show on 104thescore.com and also on kysports.tv. Today, we're going to do a whole show with Coach Sam Royse. He's retiring from coaching baseball at Glasgow High School, and we'll talk about that stuff. But there are several other things. Actually, we could spend 30 minutes of this show telling stories that we were talking about before he even came on the camera that have got nothing to do with him coaching baseball. But, you know, he knows a lot about what's going on at Glasgow High School. He played there, coached there for 41 years, 39 as a head baseball coach. But this is what I want to start with, because after I talked to you about, and you told me, about telling the team you were retiring and that kind of thing, what struck me was in 50 years, Glasgow's had 3 baseball coaches. Mm-hmm. Now, you've been head coach for 39 of those, but it was also Johnny Vance, who played Major League Baseball and was a Glasgow graduate, and Coy Meadows. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was interesting was Coy Meadows told me he won the state championship at Gouverneur with the Doyle twins and immediately took the job at Glasgow. Mm-hmm. And what struck me about that was that's not just 50 years of 3 coaches. That's 50 years of 3 of possibly the best coaches in the area, or maybe in the state of Kentucky, across baseball or multiple other sports, if you get right down to it, because Coy coached football as well. When you not necessarily think about your career, but when you think about Glasgow baseball, like, what are some of the things in relation to that stand out to you?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think Coach Meadows, Coach Vance, they are very well known for their coaching, not just in baseball, but in football too, because they were both very successful in both sports. I just think that we've had a lot of good players in that time, and even before that time. Coach Richards was a baseball coach here when he was here in that in that mid to late 1960s, and was a good baseball man, and because I think he was Coach Vance's coach. Okay. And they had some fine players, and then Coach Tom Downing, who was he took over after Coach Richards left, and he's a great baseball guy who didn't stay here very long, but he's a great baseball guy. So I just happened to be the one that stayed the longest. There's been good baseball played down on that same field down there for a long, long time, and probably even on beyond, even further back than that that I'm not even aware of. And at least 2 of those 3 coaches you talked about, Coach Meadows, Coach Vance, are very fine baseball people. And at that time, every baseball coach was not what you'd consider a baseball person. They liked baseball, but it was just all organized different back then. You didn't play as many games. Facilities weren't as nice as they are now. And practice times, I can remember Coach Eubank talking about when we worked together, they'd get done with basketball, and they'd practice a couple of weeks of baseball, and boom, they'd be out there playing baseball. So it's all different now, and who's to say which way works best or is the best? But you're exactly right, Coach Meadows, Coach Vance. And even before then, we've had really good baseball coaches here, and we've had really good baseball players here for as long as I can remember, for my whole lifetime.
I take it you played for Coach Meadows in high school?
I did.
I guess you guys knew that they'd won a state championship at Gouverneur.
Sure.
And that he coached the Doyle twins, and they weren't the only ones, but they were kind of the centerpieces of that team. Nobody else in the area had won a state championship in baseball outside of Gouverneur at that time. And so, as players playing for him, kind of what did you think about that?
Well, he was I mean, about them winning the state championship?
Well, that and just the fact that you had a state championship coach coaching you.
What I remember is that I followed those guys in the American Legion ball because all, if not, I think all of those guys came over and played on Post 28. Coach Meadows, Coach Vance was coaching. They were coaching Post 28 at that time, so I was around that bunch, and bat boy and hanging out in the dugouts and chasing foul balls and doing all that stuff, and they were very talented. They were very talented. I could tell you the lineup, not the lineup, but position by position who played where. That's how closely I followed that team.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think I thought much about it when he came to Glasgow. Obviously, we were glad to get him here to Glasgow, and I don't think that any of us thought, well, wow, we're going to automatically win a state championship, because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
When he had. I don't know, James. I still think, and I was young, but I still think it's the finest collection of high school baseball players I've ever seen in my lifetime. And that was, they didn't lack for anything. They didn't lack for anything.
You're talking about that American Legion
I remember the only game that they got beat that year was right down there, and Glasgow beat them. And we had a left-handed pitcher named Walter Bradshaw, and he was phenomenal that day. And then Coach Meadows laughs when he tells they turned around and played on Saturday over at the SKC tournament in Greensburg, and I don't know that he got an out. I don't know that he got an out in the first inning, and they whacked him pretty good. But it was a phenomenal bunch of baseball players, and he and Bruce Gentry was helping him coach at the time.
Yeah.
He was helping him coach, so they had all the ingredients. Had good coaching, had really, really good high school baseball players, and they won that championship.
Do you remember, you're talking about being around the field, being around the different teams and whatnot. Do you remember when you first fell in love with the game of baseball?
No, not specifically. I do remember this. This is a story I don't know that I've ever told anybody, but the first time I really ever went out and tried to build a baseball field, I had to have been very young, and we lived over on Leslie Avenue, and my parents had remodeled the house, and there was a bunch of scrap wood in the backyard, and it was like they cut off the ends of some lumber, and I went out there, and I just because I didn't know in my little mind, I just made this big circle with all the lumber butted up against one another. Well, Dennis Boyle lived across the street from us. Of course, Dennis played to high school and all. Dennis Boyle, and he came over and he helped me to, you got a home plate here and first base, second. You don't have all these bases. Now that's a true story. That's a true story. It had to be in the very in the early '60s, 62 or 3 probably. Had to be.
Yeah.
But when I guess in that regard, maybe it had started at that time because I wanted to put together a field in our backyard, which was a tiny backyard. It was tiny.
This probably seemed big to you at that age.
It did. And but maybe it had started then, and I did love it.
Now, I guess I'm going to ask you a couple of questions off of that when we come back from this break.
Okay.
This is James Brown on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, KY Sports.tv, 104thescore.com. We're here with Sam Royse. We'll be right back.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex, and Extreme Blend Smoothie Bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters. Because together, we plan.
Welcome back to Tell Me About It. I'm James Brown, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can find this show also on the EPB YouTube channel, 104thescore.com and kysports.tv. We've got Sam Royse with us for this whole show this week. Figure he's earned at least 30 minutes. We could probably talk for 2 or 3 hours if the time slot was available. In that previous segment, we left off, you built a baseball field in your backyard when you were real young. And so I was going to ask you, we've talked about the coaches, but it would seem that maybe your father had an influence because he loved baseball as well, from what you've told me before. Mm-hmm. Like he was big into baseball, played baseball, and I imagine baseball was just in your house growing up. Is that kind of how you recall?
Yes, but all football and basketball were too.
Okay.
Actually, Daddy's claim to fame with baseball was he umpired professionally for a few years until his legs kind of got him too, and he couldn't. But he umpired professionally, and we have some pictures and things of him in his outfit. And back in those days, they wore the big balloon protector and they wore the navy blue suit.
Yeah,
that may have been what ran him out of there. That navy blue suit in the middle of the summertime. But I said it before in a couple of other interviews that Daddy grew up in Paris, Kentucky, and he played for Blanton Collier. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
To play for Coach Collier. And at Paris High School, played basketball, played football. He never mentioned baseball. I don't know if he even had baseball back then. It was a different time, But there were a lot of lessons that he learned from Coach Collier about teaching and about parenting and things such as that. That then he transferred on down to his boys, and I've never forgotten them. I've never forgotten them, and I'm sure there were times that I wished I had used some of that wisdom instead of trying to create my own. But I have a lot of so that's a good foundation. And then he was a big influence. But my mother was too, because I'll tell you another story that there was when coaching football, and it was one of my first years, and I was coaching defensive backs, and I did not do this maliciously at all. It wasn't, but my mother was in the bleachers, and I just was talking to this boy, and I just put my hand on his face mask, like this, like they do something. I was not fussing or. Okay, so early Saturday morning, she called me and she said, "If I ever see you do that again, I'll come and take you off the field." And that's what she said.
So this is when you were about 23?
I was in my third year, probably about my first year of varsity coaching.
Okay.
She said, "I will come and take you off the field." And I said, "Mama, I don't care. I don't care."
Yeah.
That's what people were thinking. And so I said, okay. And I don't recall ever doing that again. So it was, yes, they were both big influences on all of us.
Yeah.
On all of us, and the way that they taught and us. And it's been passed along through the years, whether people realize it or not, but some of these teachings have. And
I kind of want to transition to another line of questioning for you, because you became a head coach at, I don't guess it's an abnormally young age, but it's probably 3 or 4 years before a lot of people usually get that opportunity. When you started out coaching in your mind, did you have a vision for what kind of coach you needed to be? Not just in terms of like coaching, literally coaching, but in terms of how people perceived you as a coach.
Funny, I don't. At that time, I didn't have any idea about how people were going to perceive me. But yes, I did it through. When I was growing up, we learned to play by emulating our favorite players or the best players at our position.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the biggest majority of how I organized that first few teams came from Troy State University and Coach Chase Riddle, and from Lurleen B. Wallace Community College and Coach Q.V. Lowe, and then Coach Metters and Coach Vance. They weren't too far removed from it. So and what they did was right. And so we didn't. But probably the biggest influence came from Troy University and Coach Riddle. We went to 2 national tournaments out there in the Division II level, and we were not in my year, we weren't the most talented team on the field, but we played hard, and we would fight you, and we would compete. And I just thought that's the way that it was supposed to be. So what if we're not the best? You're going to have to play a lot better than us to beat us.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. That's how it started. And fortunately for me and the program, we had a bunch of youngsters coming through from that 85. Well, in those first 5 or 6 years, particularly, we had a bunch of youngsters. That's exactly how they played.
Yeah.
Whether it was my influence or my teaching or my demand or whatever, that's how they played. They would flat dab get after you. They'd flat dab get after you. Anybody we played, and it was different back then. It was different. Baseball's come a long way. But they'd flat dab get after you, and if we lost a ball game, it bothered them. It hurt them. And they didn't. They didn't throw bats, and they didn't, but it hurt them, and they couldn't wait to get back out on the field the next time.
Do you think you were a more emotional coach when you were a younger coach, meaning like you were more apt to get on to the players?
Absolutely.
Fiery, that kind of stuff?
I was. Right or wrong, good or bad, I was. And I made mistakes. But yes, I was, and I'm not real sure the reason for that. Once again, that's kind of how I learned it at the college level too.
Yeah.
They didn't do it often, but they would do it.
Yeah.
They would do it because the premise was, that you're letting your teammates down. You're letting your ball club down here. You're not doing what is required of you to help your ball club. And I did it. Did it more than I care to remember.
Well, I guess, sometimes as the coach, you're also the vocal leader in certain circumstances. Maybe you got to demonstrate to your players that you care as much as they care.
I think probably you're exactly right on that. The level of caring never went away, right down to the last ball game we played this year. I wanted our youngsters to be successful, I got away from that somewhat. I got away from being as a little more vocal, if you will.
Yeah.
A little bit, well, probably a lot of it, to tell you the truth. Now, it's not like every pitch. I didn't stand in the third base coaching box and just browbeat. I didn't do that.
Right. Yeah.
But and probably the large majority of people, they just didn't loaf. They just didn't seem to be engaged. They were loafing, or they just weren't hustling, or they just weren't involved in the game. That always aggravated me.
Yep.
You make an error, there's a place in the book for errors. You don't get a hit, let's deal with it. That never entered into it. But if you loaf, or if you don't represent the way that I thought that you should represent,
it's more of an effort thing.
Effort.
Yep.
Effort is a big word.
Right.
It's a big word.
All right, we're going to take another break here on Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. We're here with Sam Royse. I'm James Brown. We'll be right back.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Hi, this is James Brown. We're back here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6 local channel. You can also find this on 104thescore.com, kysports.tv, and the EPB YouTube channel. We're here with Coach Sam Royse. We're going to wrap this up. I told him I was going to tell him a little story. So, Coach Royse, I've told people on this show before that I've never really been a big fan of baseball. I played basketball, soccer. I played sports that required my young, hyperactive self to get out and do things. And baseball was too much standing around. Especially, when you're a young kid, you get in the outfield. You pick daisies a lot of times.
That's right.
So, you kind of have to have love for it. But when I came here, which was 20 years ago, in May, somebody told me about your baseball program. And I think maybe the second or third thing I covered was one of your baseball games. And what struck me was even though I grew up in Mississippi, where I covered baseball was not good. They weren't very good at all. And there are a lot of rural schools that they just don't have the finances to have programs, really. Mm-hmm. You have whatever coach you have available at the moment. So I was just always impressed with your program because of what we were talking about previous segment. Your players played hard, they played smart, they were aggressive on the base paths. You guys executed all kinds of timing plays, hit and runs, sacrifice bunts, taking certain pitches. Mm-hmm. All these things that I learned about by watching your program mm-hmm. and watching you guys coach those players. And it changed my appreciation of the game of mm-hmm. baseball. Now, I still don't really sit around and watch baseball a whole lot. Yeah. But that helped me gain an appreciation for the sport and how what I was like, okay, that's how it's supposed to be played. Mm-hmm. But I also, over time, I thought your program kind of changed a little bit. You guys maybe went with more of the hitters hit kind of thing. Maybe, home runs. There were less singles and mm-hmm. seemed to be executed plays. Is that kind of how you saw your program transition over the last, half of your career?
I don't know. I just, and once again, it's kind of how I learned the game. Yeah. That you part of my job, our coach's job, was to find out what abilities our youngsters have, and then really try to cultivate their abilities and things that they were not so good at, try to improve those abilities, and then put them out there and put them out there and let them play, let them enjoy playing the game, and let's not get too I never tried to get too wrapped up in all the technique stuff so much, unless there were just glaring mistakes. We wanted our youngsters to come in and take the abilities that they had, which a lot of times were pretty dadburnt good. There weren't a lot of flaws, which probably is a testament to how the little leagues were and the pony leagues were in our young and the people that were coaching our young people before they even got to the high school.
Yeah.
Because they were they had pretty good technique in what they were doing. And but if there were major flaws, we tried to fix them. But James, and it's another thing, just how I learned it, and Coach Meadows, Coach Vance, Coach Fiddle, Coach Lowe, and then just watching other people, effort in the game will just hide a lot of stuff. It will just mask a lot of flaws and weaknesses that a team might have. For instance, if a guy doesn't have the greatest arm strength in the world and he has to play on the left side of the infield, well, just making a greater effort to get to the ball a little bit quicker will make up for that loss. So that type of thing. Now, to answer your question, no, it wasn't anything intentional. It wasn't anything intentional whatsoever. It just maybe it might just been me how I changed. How I changed and things that our kids probably were going to respond better to, be confident in what it is you're trying to do and compete. Try hard to beat that pitcher on this at bat, or try hard to beat that hitter on this at bat, or try hard as a defender to get to every single ball you can get to make the play. And let's leave it at that. We're going to work on things in practices about how to pitch and catch and throw and run bags. But when the game starts, let's go hard. Let's go hard. And so I don't. If it evolved, it evolved. It just snuck up on me if it did, because that's really the way that I learned it, and that I believe helped the youngsters to enjoy the game of baseball more. Is to not get too wrapped up in all of this, where's your elbow, where's your grip, where's this, where's that. Let's get those things worked out in the practice sessions. And when we go to play, let's go play, and let's go play hard. And that's really want to walk off a winner each and every day. However, that was not the main thing. The doing the things required to win the ball game is where I think we were always about.
Yeah.
Throw strikes, catch the ball, hit the ball, and play hard. If we do that, we got a chance.
Yeah.
We have a chance, and that's how you can ask Murph, my old, not my dog Murph, but my good buddy Coach Murphy. That's always been it.
Yeah.
We didn't set goals of being a champion or winning this or win. We set our goal was very reachable every game, every year. Man, if we can play the game and play it well enough to have a chance to win at the end of the ball game, then we played a pretty good game of baseball.
Yeah.
Particularly as our schedule changed, and if you look on our schedule, the quality of teams that we play and the number of quality teams that we play. Some of them, because their programs have risen to a different level. If we have a chance at the end of the ball game, then we played a pretty good game of baseball, and we've won a lot of those ball games too, and we've lost some of those ball games.
More than 800 during your time there.
But we've done the things that are required.
Yeah.
We've done the things that are required to me out of competition, of high school sports, and what it means to me, and how I. And we talked about earlier. Maybe as a young guy right out of the gate, I felt like we needed to win a bunch of ball games for people to notice me. They weren't noticing me. They couldn't care less about me. They should have been noticing the guys out there playing the game because they were tremendous players.
Yeah.
But Murphy and I have talked about that for years. Give ourselves a chance to win every ball game at the end, and if we have, we played a pretty good game of baseball, and we're going to win a lot of those. And that's been it. That's really been it. But the kids had to do it. I mean, and we had that little celebration at the high school last Friday, and there were so many youngsters who came back, and the quality, the ability that those guys had in high school was uncanny. I'd forgotten because I haven't seen that many players in one room at one gathering, probably ever. But just looking back there at Jeff Garman, David Lane, Stephen Murphy, Corey Jones, Rodney Henderson, Matt Bowles, Butch, Jason Alexander, Michael Nunley, guys who were great catchers for us, Timmy Pierce. Dustin Clark came all the way from Johnson City, Tennessee. Good players for us on really good teams. And I had forgotten how good of baseball players we've had at Glasgow. In these 41 years that I've been. Jerry Poland was there, I was an assistant when Jerry played. Michael Elmore, and Mike wasn't there, but I mean he went to Troy. He's a Troy guy like me, and but Jerry Poland was a tremendous high school baseball pitcher. His son Drake was a good player for. I'm just saying, Jane. There's your secret to any successes that people say that I've had. Because I've had really good assistant coaches and I've had really good baseball players down through the years. And then they made the efforts, by and large, more times than they didn't. They made the efforts to be successful and to be competitive. And so if I had anything to do with that, then okay. Then maybe I've done a pretty good job down through the years, because that really is, for high school sports and competition, that's where it lies. Make the effort, man. Give yourself a chance every day and have a ball doing it. Because you ask the guys that graduated this year, it's done. It's over. Boom. I remember when they were freshmen, now it's done. It goes by so quickly, and I certainly hope that that's the case, that they had a good time in what we were doing.
Well, Coach Royse, like I said, start with, we could spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours probably talking.
That's right.
Unfortunately, time is a limit.
Well.
And we're at the end of it. This is Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, local channel. You can also catch the show on 104thescore.com, kysports.tv. I'm James Brown. Talk to you again next week.